Podcaster Joe Rogan dunked on left-wing media for losing viewers, as many Americans have grown distrustful and wary of their bias. Rogan spoke on his podcast about a recent op-ed from billionaire Amazon founder and Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos, headlined, "The Hard Truth: Americans Don't Trust the News Media." He summarized the piece as essentially saying that you have to take divergent viewpoints, you have to take a bunch of different perspectives, that we can't just be this left-wing echo chamber, and it's the reason why the business is faltering. Rogan argued that the truth of Bezos' observations appears to be playing out across the media landscape. "I was just reading something about CNN's ratings and MSNBC's ratings. Post-election, they've crashed," Rogan said on Wednesday's episode. "All these left-wing kooks on YouTube are hemorrhaging subscribers. Where people go, you guys are out of touch, you're not accurate, you're delusional. And people are speaking with their subscriptions, and they're speaking with their purchasing of the Washington Post and their purchasing of the New York Times." He then recalled how the New York Times published a baffling fact-check this week of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s claim that a popular breakfast cereal contains several artificial ingredients in the United States that are not used in other countries. The New York Times just debunked, in the most insane way, debunked RFK Jr.'s assertion that the ingredients in Fruit Loops are different in Canada than they are in the United States. They fact-checked it while saying he was accurate. So their fact-check, it's so dumb when you see the fact. I tweeted it. He went on to say, "The fact-check is so dumb because the fact-check says it's not correct. They have the same ingredients, except for these harmful chemicals." He then read the fact-check, adding his own commentary at the end that these are effing dangerous chemicals that are banned in Canada that we're trying to get rid of in America. So they're literally saying he was wrong, but he was right. "That made my brain hurt just reading it," one of Rogan's guests said. "That's the New York effing Times," Rogan exclaimed in disbelief. "This is what the New York Times is doing. So of course you're gonna hemorrhage subscribers, of course. You're crazy. You're saying something that's nuts. And also, what is your motivation? If we're saying that these things have been eliminated in other countries because they've been proven to be dangerous, what is your motivation for saying he was wrong?" he wondered. After one of his guests said the motivation was money, Rogan asked, "What else could it be?" before listing other possibilities like ideology.